Busuafo na tie fo ni di kwan so me patcho me ma obi bia akwa ababacha so hi daily update tv ni di kwan so na no first time abacha ni so a mesro say ubo kwan so utie news ni we na so ni jwa subscribe for more updates, like and share our videos ma we love us so nya ye videos ni bi enhwe me da se bebre me patcho utie ni so wo comment bi so constructively fa share comment section hono ye beje ne akenka me da se na me patcho senior citizen bi na wapia ba bonten asene a strong caution and as a warning pa e de akoma Mensah na ne nsema wo kan say when Afari was the EC ye hu niema we nyina, that is printing of ballot papers without the final register na chese nsema wakan or the Afari ne achievements ana odi disgrace Mensah ana oka se Mensah onhwe Afari ne achievements en niema pa Afari ye ho nonzo fanya niema pa cause Afari time unte se or kwakọ printed ballot papers without the final register. When your friends saying political parties have raised concerns about the voter register, abra on sorted out. Afari unya bibi say, and to Mensah just go back. We Afari do wa che de benso nenso en shedan che bia ubetima ko wo de say yemfa ne say Afari the achievements krana unhu krana. You can go back to at least go to see Afari, talk to Afari or ye senior EC ubetima boaw one with the way at the end city and teenager is so yeah the amount of at like a whole lot of mistrust and all become we watch no be can say one out let no come your friends a political parties and he say that is the media makers have that because NDC for the buy and ye who ye other political parties no man fan but NDC for the young with the buy now will say day notice of posts and printing of ballot papers ye who ye inti sisi a wasa ba bonten be kase da bi inti mpacha o de men kasa nkwache yenkoni nkotie nsema oya professor yes oya professor pa yenkoni nkotie nsema professor na ede kachre Mensah me da se bebre nyakopon hia na onyo kese.
The phone lines and speak to Professor Nino Indowona, who is a young senior citizen. Says he has a quick contribution to make. Prof, good morning, and I hope you're well.
Good morning. Yeah, I wish to express a little opinion on the matter.
Okay.
And if I say I'm a young senior, I'm speaking as someone who has been actively or spent greater part of my youthful working life in the politics or administration of a party, and for that matter, engage in elections and being an active member of IPAC. You must, if you really reason out properly, anybody who is concerned about the future of this country, especially the credibility of the forthcoming election, must be worried about these petty administrative lapses. Just read the letter signed by the director, and then just 24 hours, another 10, complete about 10. It's, I don't know. This election is the 9th election. 92 up to now, 32 years. Are we reinventing the process? That is what amazes me. People like Dr. Afari and others, and yeah, I believe there are people who have been through 3-4 elections at the Electoral Commission. If you take over an administration, there are files that will guide you because you are running for this matter a state institution. And if you are running a state institution, rules and procedures are there. Why do you commit such blunders at this time when there had been a heated exchanges leading to an amicable resolution of the matter just last week? You understand? And I feel sorry when watching the proceedings last week when other parties were like minnows trying to toe the line as if they have been bribed, with due, allegedly bribed, to speak the voice of one party. For this, let's put it on record that the position taken by the two major parties is much commendable. Please, we normally file all over until this particular election. We file for nomination in October, 6 weeks to the election. Now, if we push the process forward so that we will have sufficient time to prepare for the 7th December election, that is fine. But if you know you wrote a letter plain that you are inviting party agents, if you don't have the experience, please, Electoral Commission, confer. The parties are the major stakeholders. Confer with them and let's have confidence in the process. You understand? It's not a small matter that we are toying with. It's about power, and it has repercussions on stability of this country. And I believe this must be the last blunder. We are humans though, but this must be the last blunder by the Electoral Commission. Please, Chairperson, Mrs. Mensah, with your team, there are people whose, we call them, they have the repository of knowledge to guide whatever you do. I don't think if you call Dr. Afari or even some of us who have been involved in this process, we cannot offer some pieces of advice. We are not dictating to you, but we must do things to inspire confidence in the people. What is happening is very disgraceful and shameful because the international community are following keenly what is happening. And they have been involved in the process from 92. So let's save the little integrity that we have in the process because we are a beacon of hope in West Africa, or for that matter, in a developing country, as far as the democratic process is concerned. And what is happening is a great worry. And we cannot afford to let this country bend because of just one election out of 9. That's a concern that I have. And if the officials of the commission are listening, they must know that you are working for the public and not the other way around. Is it not even a shame that we are going to print ballot papers for just about 50 million voters over 9 different printing houses? It's a shame. State publishing corporation that had the capacity, we have decimated it to the point that we have to spread, which is a burden on the political parties because throughout the period that you have to print this, they must send agents there every day from the beginning to the end. They must monitor the printing, how many ballot papers are printed in a day, whether there is no excess, take records. Why do we get ourselves so labored into the process of preparing for election as if our democracy has not developed? These are the concerns that I have, and I believe the civil society organizations and other stakeholders must really get actively involved, not dictating to the commission, but trying to perhaps draw their attention to some of these shortcomings. I don't think it's good for our democracy. No.
So to you, these blunders, the EC should not be making these blunders.
It's avoidable. The blunders are avoidable. Why do you write? So you mean those working there? I believe the current commission members and the directors at least have spent over 3, 4, 5 years or been through one election cycle. Why do you invite party agents and your letter, short worded letter, indicating that you are going to begin a process? If you know it's about notification of polls, which we do, and we have to paste it at every polling station, it's a different simple matter. Why would somebody, and even then, there's a critical point. The notification of polls, which you have to paste at every polling station, will show the order for presidential and parliamentary. And for that matter, the correctness of pictures that were sent. There are petty things. You understand? And so, and it is because they came and Mensah came with her team thinking they are going to reinvent the wheel. And unnecessary issues that needed not to be done. You understand? It broke down IPAC, etc. And I'm saying for one more time that it was Afarijan's Electoral Commission approach that anybody who was involved in the process, it's not about going to mine something that is an inalienable property of anybody, but this electoral process and the commission itself exists because of all of us. So IPAC, you could see the civil society organizations, the other international agencies outnumbering even political parties whenever we went to IPAC, because they all played a role. The current ballot boxes that we are using was provided by Danida. The current transparent boxes that we started using they were provided by Danida. USAID help. The very first time in '96 that we were giving computers and we were giving a disc with all the voter register for that matter. In the past, we had to go and pay. Was done by the USAID. So Afarijan's role was anybody involved in the process, come and sit at IPAC. You see, and that is how IEA, where Mensah was able, even not attending IPAC, even though they were extended invitation, managed to help in crafting the Transition Act. So this sort of, I can do it alone, I'm independent. If you are independent, do you have a law to collect revenue to finance your operations? Is it not government of the day that provides you with what you call subvention? So they must be told A commission doesn't belong to any of them. And more so when some of them don't have that moral credibility because they are known partisan party people. So I think enough is enough, and we must really reassert ourselves to make sure. And I'm appealing to the other minority parties, including my CPP, be objective and don't be seen to be towing the line of NDC, NPP. If NDC is pursuing a path that is correct, support them. In the same way, if MPP is doing what is correct, support them. But you must be seen to be presenting an independent view, not to be seen to be just following anybody because you let people come up with the inference that you have collected something, which might not be correct.
Prof.
So I hope they say a word to the wise is enough, and then they must let us have confidence, because at the end of the day, it's the will of the people that will prevail, no matter what. The will of the people will prevail on the 7th.
Just a side note, you worked in the University of Ghana for so long. In fact, one of the things you teach has to do with, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, is it land economy?
No. Land use.
Land use. Okay. So that's great. So two things. You were a member of organized labor. You're somebody who is concerned about what we do to the land available to us. So having said that, just a small side note, what do you make of organized labor's position and the position of the UTAG, which you specifically belong to during your period at the University of Ghana, on this matter of Galamsey?
Look, I was totally shocked when the Land and Mineral Resources Minister, he said he drinks Ghana Water Company water, so he doesn't think Galamsey exists. You know, one thing I've seen is the deterioration in the caliber and quality of people we appoint to the position, if you even judge from 1992. And that a minister of state will talk this way, and you ask, does he drive around? You know, one major issue we don't realize, and maybe I'm speaking from the point of view that, the background that you posited a short while ago, that we don't have a land use planning policy. Already, you know, there is a legislation that says that a river like Volta, and we are lucky we have a nearly spark, send your place at Sogakope, you see, for nothing at all, you can see crystal clear water flowing into the sea. It is because throughout the drainage channel of the Volta, you don't have that mineral deposit like we have. But if you knew the PRA, those of us who are a bit older, and you knew the PRA in the 70s, and you see the PRA now, and you see a Brim, and you see the other major rivers, you'll be amazed. We don't have proper land use planning. There's a legislation that says that big rivers like PRA, Volta, 100 meters. So you're talking about the stretch of a goalpost to another goalpost. You don't even farm. You don't farm, not to even farming where you use cutlass and hoe. You don't farm. You don't use cutlass and hoe because of the exposure of the surface. You remove grass or you remove the vegetative cover. So there will be runoff that carried silt or sediments into the water. That is there. Then small rivers or streams like Odo, 30 meters. It's in the statute books. And then more so because of the economic, problems we've been through the last 30, 40 years, virtually urbanization has taken over. And so we are building everywhere on waterways, etc. So urbanization itself is a threat. So now if I tell you on authority that Accra, where we sit here, has one of the best agricultural lands, you don't believe it. And that's why in colonial times, they didn't build everywhere. You know, a place like Jowulu, in Ghana is a big valley. And so the colonial times, they didn't build. When airports and cantonments and Ridge got choked, they went to Tesano to be a new settlement outside old Accra. And Tesano in Accra, there is stone, it's a mat. No, it's on top. So on top of the stone mat, that is, everywhere in the villages, don't we build uphill and then we go downstream to farm and then fetch water? You see cemeteries around churches in all our communities on hard stony area. So there is a land use policy, but we have never implemented them. So Galamsey is a devilish land degradation that we have imposed on ourselves. It's a devilish thing. And small-scale mining is legitimate, but it is done with strict regulations. Even the big mines, the Environmental Protection Agency, there is a rehabilitation protocol. Because now we don't do deep mining, that where you create what you call the channels underground and you go with a shaft. These days, that is not a convention. It is surface mining where there's a rigid protocol. Before you even start, you remove the topsoil, you pack somewhere, you go to the sub material, you pack somewhere before you go to the ore. When you blast and you finish, after years of exhausting the mineral deposit, you re-vegetate. So go to Amansia, go to Ashanti Gold. You see that they've rehabilitated, and there's a protocol. The protocol is that before you even start, you have to take inventory of the vegetation, the tree species. And when you are rehabilitating, 40% of the original tree species God put there from creation day on as the Bible tells us. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
You have to make sure 40% of the indigenous species that you remove, you have to raise a nursery with the seedlings and you incorporate into the revegetation before you include other fast-growing trees to let you revegetate. It's a protocol, and Amansia go to Wasi. They've done that very beautifully. Yeah, I had a student who even did his PhD over there in 2010, Dr. Dogbeto. So it is being done. So if you see what is being done illegally, and for anybody to even give a forest reserve, already we've depleted over 80% of our forests that God created for us. We've done so well. We have devastated everything. We are living as if we don't. If you have a small baby, Senna, then you should know that there's a commitment for the next 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. Just like our grandfathers did for us. So what we are doing today, elsewhere, people like the ministers and others who have resigned long ago, you don't make comments like that you have drunk water. If indeed he made that comment, but I read it and he has not refuted it. You drink Ghana water. Ghana water, if you are in Accra, is it not from what do you call it, Densu, and then from Akosombo? But those who live there, do you know that I live with my grandfather at Mangwasi? We always went to the Densu to fetch water to drink. So how can somebody talk like that? So the TUC, for what happened, I didn't follow critically. Those who were there, who suspected that something happened or something influenced, that one I don't know. It just reminds me of one friend who told me that, you see, there's a philosophy, and this is on the jovial side, not to indict anybody. They said there's a philosophy or a principle in giving something. Is that when you give something to the magnitude that the fellow cannot refuse to accept, if you put it in that thought was my language. You see, the thing is so big that to say no is very difficult. So we don't know what happened. And I don't think I would doubt the integrity of the leadership. But of course, if they are listening and they are sensitive to the opinions of people, then the opinion is that, or the inference is that something might have influenced what happened. It may be wrong. I'm not committing that. But they've really disappointed a lot of us. But seriously, environmental, look, people win elections or lose elections and they develop democracies on the environment. Because that is the future for us. We are behaving as if, what do you call it? We can recreate the environment. We cannot recreate it. In the way we are going, we cannot recreate it. And so, Senami, I went on the note that one of the major things that will be on my heart's desire is to overhaul the Electoral Commission or reform the Electoral Commission through necessary constitutional reform so that we don't waste our time. Look at the energies the party. I knew what happened. You will spend energies, and when you are even going to collate and declare results, people sleep there for 3 nights. Why? Why sort of election? When US will be having election in the next few weeks, in 2 days' time, you see results are declared and the life moves on. Hours, every time with tension. Can we continue that way? So this Democrat Fourth Republic, you ask yourself, is it worth it? Senator Mawulawe.
What a note. Prof, thank you very much.
Okay,
Ebusuafo me patcho me damase bebre se mo agemre na modi machim na yakohwe sa video no. Sorry, yakoti sa audio no. Nyakopo nham no nyam kase ebusua professor na kanede onso de wo bia fa share comments sa comment section hono me beje ne akenkan. One professor ne ya adwene anase one professor ne enya adwene. So one ne ya adwene fa hye ho. One ne nya adwene so fa hye ho. Me da se bebre nyakopo nham ebusua me patcho ye de nkomo ni besia me da se pa me da se